So the first speaker is Maurice Kalinowski from the Qt company, and he's going to talk about Qt and Windows 10. So, please.
Thank you. Okay. I hope you were enjoying the keynote so far, and I'm so positively surprised to see so many people here on Windows 10. That's really nice. That was already the introduction. My name is Maurice Kalinowski. I work for the Qt company GmbH, which is the German office we have. My role is their senior R&D manager, tools and framework. Within the framework falls also our platform parts, and that's why I'm here also to talk about Windows today. Before we go into the agenda, let me start with some simple questions. Who of you is targeting Windows with your project? Okay, wow. Who of you is using Qt for that? Bit fewer. And whom of you is using Qt for WinRT? Yeah. I was kind of expecting that, so some evangelizing for me to do today. Okay, what are we going to talk about today? First of all, I need to do some clarification work. Microsoft is not the best when it comes to terminology. Then we're going to talk about what platforms are going to be supported on Windows 10, what it all means, what the prospects are, what is in for you for the platform, even with using Qt, how does Qt behave there. We're also going to talk about what we do from the Qt side in terms of Windows 10, and then we're going to wrap up afterwards. So when we're talking about terminology, there's a whole bunch of things coming up. Windows Runtime, WinRT, Unified, etc., Universal Windows Binary, Universal Windows Package. What is this all about? I could take an hour for just explaining those words, but the most common word right now is Universal Windows Platform, and I just want to give you some historic background how that came up. So it all started with Windows Phone 7 when Microsoft introduced the Windows App model. That's not that much of interest for us because at that point in time there was no C++ support for Windows Phone 7. Interesting anecdote is Microsoft started a survey like what are the features you as developers want to have for Windows Phone? And number one answer was with 4,000 votes, we want to have C++ support, and number two was we want to have Qt. That was pretty nice for us. So that then actually happened in Windows Phone 8, and that was also the first version we then introduced with Qt for WinRT. The biggest problem for us was with Windows Phone 8 and Windows 8, there was lots of API differences still. Microsoft was starting the whole weird mimicking cross-platform approach, but it was really tedious work for us to check every single patch. Does it work on desktop? Does it work on mobile? The packaging was different, etc. That got a bit better with Windows 8.1/Windows Phone 8.1, where it was called Universal Windows 8 Apps. You see, we're slowly getting to the term. Most prominently also the store itself for you as a application provider to the store got combined. So you could have your project then being deployed for the desktop as well as Windows Phone. You could run analysis for the different platforms, but within one project. So that was a good start. And now we are on the side of Windows 10, where now the Universal Windows Platform has been introduced. Obviously, they couldn't keep the name for various reasons. But in addition to that, there was also two new platforms now introduced. Windows 10 IoT Core, which is like pitching into the embedded segment. I'm going to talk about that a bit later. And Windows Xbox, so far, it only exists via slideware. So we cannot give any estimates on how Qt will perform on the Xbox because there's no public access so far. Feature-wise, I believe that those are the most prominent ones. Continuum being the aspect that if you have a convertible device, you detach your keyboard, that your applications go full screen. Even more on the mobile device with the showcase right now. Microsoft has a big event today where we might give out some devices where you can now also use your mobile phone as a desktop replacement. So you have a docking station, and then you can connect it to a monitor and a keyboard, and you can use like the Office suite, etc. for that. So that's a really compelling use case also from a developer perspective because it opens up so many use cases for you to implement. Notifications, that's clearly taken from the mobile aspect, like have one unified Our notification center, all of you know, like all different types of bubbles which were in your sys tray before, so it's a nice step. Cortana, something Microsoft is very proud of, and live tiles we were already existing in Windows 8.1 already. The good thing with Qt is the first two items are supported by default, so you don't need to take care at all, it just runs for you. And the second one is you can easily integrate those items into Qt apps. That's something you need to emphasize. The fact that we do not provide an API for a use case does not mean you cannot use the native features. That is something, especially when we got into the mobile platforms, something we really, really needed to exaggerate on. Okay, let's move on to the platforms. So I'm going to focus on those three: desktop, mobile, IoT Core, all present with Windows 10. On the desktop side, that has been released already this year. And it has the features I was mentioning. The interesting thing, if you are working for an enterprise, is that now side loading is allowed. Previously, when you were doing a WinRT application, your only distribution channel was the store. That is not valid anymore. You can also side load WinRT applications in an AppX package. Also, one thing I want to be very precise on: if you are a desktop developer, and it seems like most of you are so far, that is still and will be supported from a Qt perspective. We have no means at all to stop that support, because we know it's so important for you. However, with WinRT and Universal Apps getting so much traction, there is some effort for us to do, and that is why we're focusing quite a lot of work there. There is other benefits also coming back to us, but I'm going to go into that a bit later on. With Qt 5.5, we already said that we have some preliminary support for universal binaries. That is in terms of that you can now start developing. There were a couple of bugs, and I really urge you to take 5.6 as soon as it is out. And also with 5.6, we will have the certification clarified. Right now, we have one or two issues with the certification kit. So if you are targeting Windows 10, that might be problematic. However, there's a workaround. You can still publish your application as an 8.1 application and claim it to be Windows 10 compatible. Works. There is Visual Studio 2015. That's also a requirement for targeting Windows 10. And also we are supporting all the different SDKs. On the mobile aspect, Windows 10 Mobile is not out yet. As I said before, today there's a Microsoft event, and when you're listening to the leaks, it seems like end of the year it will be available. It will not be available for all devices, but there will be a huge upgrade path as well. So that also helps you in terms of targeting Qt for WinRT and then also get the latest platform. And as I said before, Qt 5.6 will then have full support for that as well. Windows 10 IoT Core. Don't use the first term. I'm writing it down to kind of describe what it is. It is Windows 10 on embedded, but Microsoft is very clear that this is not an official statement. Windows 10 embedded or Windows embedded is something completely different. Right now, this is in the preview state, which means you can register at the Insider program and start developing on that. If you take Qt 5.6, just compile it for WinRT ARM-MSVC 2015, and you're ready to go. Tomorrow there's a second talk on this topic, and I can also show you a little bit how you get started on Windows 10 and also on IoT Core. Big difference is also that there's only a couple of devices supported so far. Most prominently the Raspberry Pi 2, the Miniboard Max, and the initial Galileo, not the latest version. And Microsoft is also very open in saying that they are targeting the maker scene. So if you are let's say, in a scenario where you also want to distribute your device as such, that might not be the right use case for you as of now. There is rumors about Windows 10 Industry, but no one really knows what's that then about. What you can do with Windows 10 IoT Core is also, as of now, pretty limited. In terms of that you only have single screen or headless devices. You can only have one UI process on Windows 10 IoT Core. You can also have only one application, well, UI application, I said. You don't have any store as such. So if you install the Windows 10 IoT Core, the whole store accessibility thing is not valid on that platform. So you can see that Microsoft is really just at the starting point. And also that's why I want to have this comparison. If you compare like where Microsoft is with Windows 10 right now and where embedded Linux is, or more specifically where we are with Qt for device creation on or using embedded Linux, you clearly see more benefits on the right side. But we are already starting to support Windows 10 IoT Core to see where it goes. And also, there might be use cases for you where it actually suits your use cases, your needs. Prospects. So I was a bit already awaiting that situation. Let's assume you have a desktop application, and I've been talking so much now about Windows Store, and then you're wondering, like, well, what do I get? First of all, access to the Windows Store, which provides you more visibility of your project. We've seen it from the mobile devices, we've seen it from the macOS Store. If you have a standard application you can distribute via the store, it gives you lots and lots of more visibility. You get access to additional APIs. That is sensor-wise, etc., etc. So depending on your use cases, you might even need WinRT APIs if you want to have additional feature sets or use cases supported. And also with the Windows Store, you get access to additional devices, like the mobiles, to some extent Windows 10 IoT Core and what's happening there, which also helps you bringing your desktop project so far to new hardware platforms, which is something which is happening very regularly right now. People start with or have a successful desktop application, but now they need the use case to have your mobile connected to that. And that is what you can do with Windows Store apps. I'm not a Microsoft salesperson. But why I'm emphasizing that is if you already have a Qt project, and from the vote we have had initially, you do, in most cases, and that is if you do not use native APIs or such, it's a matter of recompilation, and that's about it, and you can start testing. If you want to come to our booth, you can see also the QtWS15 app we have running there on the notebook, where you can compare a classic desktop application and a WinRT version of it, and you will see no difference at all on that. And that is also fully supporting the networking, getting the items via RESTful APIs, etc. If I didn't convince you so far, is there still for you as a desktop developer what you can still benefit from Windows 10? And the answer there is a yes and no. I've been talking about APIs being available for Windows Store only, or for WinRT only, like for instance Bluetooth. But Bluetooth is also coming back. So if you have a WinRT version for Bluetooth, well, if you are using the WinRT version for Bluetooth, you can also use that in your desktop application. That also helps us with Qt, as for new modules, like for instance Bluetooth or positioning, we can target Qt. We can, in Qt itself, use the WinRT model and provide it for you as desktop developers. At Build, Microsoft was already announcing that they might open the store, or will open the store, but that's a very in-flux statement. When you then attended the actual session itself, they don't know which API is going to be supported. They have no idea what's happening with the registry and which parts of the registry you might have access to. Applications are sandboxed. How does that behave on a desktop application? As a desktop developer, you are used to having access to basically everything. And they also don't know how they want to check that from a certification prospect. So it's completely vague what is happening there. If you're on a Qt basis, you have a very, very more solid base. Okay, maybe let's move a bit on where we are with the Qt roadmap. That can be summarized into 3 categories, I'd say. Internally, or inside the Qt company, we use the term feature parity. Feature parity, some modules are moving faster on some platform than on others. Like you know, we came in a bit late on the mobile aspect, for instance, on Windows Phone. There was already iOS and Android versions for that. So we need to also catch up a bit in that area. And that is what we call feature parity. We want to have all Qt modules supported on all platforms, so that you don't need to take care if there is something not being supported. In addition, we have platform integration. That is when, if there is items you need to use in your application, which Qt does not provide. Most prominently right now is, we've been doing lots and lots of work, and thanks to Andrew, who's hopefully somewhere in the room here, that we have the XAML entry point. That gives us quite some flexibility. It allows us, for instance, to now have Qt Web View supported as well. WebView being the technology which Alan is going to talk about later on, in which is using the native browser engine inside your Qt application. That was not possible in 5.5, but it's now possible in 5.6 as we use the XAML entry point. It also allows you to use other technologies which are based on XAML, like advertisements, etc., etc. So that is already starting there. We might do some additional work in terms of toasts and etc. Cortana might fit into the Qt speech module, which we're going to have as a tech preview. So we're investigating there. And lastly, developer tooling. I mean, you need to get started somehow. There's a big issue we have right now with our build systems in terms of how do you create a universal Windows package. As a universal Windows package contains all the binaries for all different CPU architectures. And QMake as such only has a one-to-one match. I'm going to be a bit more into details about that tomorrow, but as a teaser maybe. Device connectivity that specifies right now in tooling side for if you're targeting Windows 10 desktop or WinRT 8.1, we are pretty good when it comes to debugging support and all those various features. However, when it goes to the phone and then later on also to IoT Core, that is a bit more problematic, and we need to put some focus into that area as well. Licensing-wise, if you are a commercial customer, how does that relate to the licensing models we have with Qt for application creation and Qt for device creation? Lars was talking about that model already before. For desktop and mobile, that's pretty clear. If you are an application developer, that clearly falls under the Qt for application development model. On Windows 10 IoT Core, it's a bit blurry as of right now because Microsoft doesn't want you or necessarily want you to ship Windows 10 IoT Core devices so far, but it is possible if you contact Microsoft. If you want to use some of our enterprise value adds or are using those and want to ship that device, that then clearly falls under device creation and hence under that licensing model. Okay, to summarize. Microsoft is going into all different kinds of platforms and trying to play the cross-platform story with their APIs, with some success, some minor success. From our experience, even there is still lots of behavior differences between where your application is then being loaded on runtime. So with Qt, you are still in a better situation, but you know how Qt behaves. Microsoft is still very early at that point in time. And when you go through the various segments, like on a desktop, there's a strong competition on macOS and also on Linux. On the mobile side, they are player number 3. At least in Germany, they have around 10% market share, but that's about it. So you want to have a cross-platform story targeting Android and iOS as well if you are a mobile device developer. And lastly, when we're talking about embedded, this is a pitch of Microsoft to go into embedded. You don't know where that is going to end. And as such, as of right now, when we're targeting the maker scene, etc., or going to embedded Linux, that is still fine. But the competition grows even more. We've been talking about automotive, industry automation so far in the keynotes. The more you enter those segments, then you have other big players who have a very dominant role in there. And if you have a look at all the platforms being mentioned here, I guess you can all imagine where that goes to. The platform choice, after all, is yours, because Qt is supported everywhere, right? So even if there is going to be success and you might want to change your underlying platform at some point in time, Qt is still the stable middleware provider for you. And that pretty much sums it up. Any questions from your side? I believe.
So I've got this Qt application which already on virtual notebooks can switch between desktop tools and
So to repeat the question and see if I correctly understood it, do you have some desktop components natively?
Well, no, it's just pure Qt.
Pure Qt. You have a Qt application you have been so far running on the desktop, and now you want to go to the Windows Store.
It already can have tablet building, because it has that already switch. What's the next step?
So first is the recompilation process, obviously. The interesting thing is that getting to run an application on Qt for the Windows Store, it already needs to create a package and everything for you. So we have lots of tooling running in the background, like win-deploy Qt, etc., which takes care of all the collection items. That might be actually something to mention. Like on desktop, you need to take care of running win-deploy Qt manually, so to get you all the Qt libraries, the QML imports, etc. That is happening automatically if you're targeting Qt for WinRT, because you need to create a full package. And then once you have created that package, you can run that package also through the certification kit. And once that is valid, you push it to the store via the web interface. Try it. Other questions? Well, if not, tomorrow I'm going to go a bit more into details. Oh, sorry? Both is supported from our side. Obviously, depending on what your application does, we do have a tendency towards certain technologies. But the choice is yours, basically. Okay, if not, tomorrow there's going to be a bit longer session, also talking a bit about the getting started and how you can get your hands dirty. And thank you for being here.